For this video, I'm pretty much just going to be summarizing my process of doing all the research to move here to the Philippines. And the way I did things is a little bit different than the way I've proposed it in my videos previously. Large part of that is because when I did it, I didn't have any advice or any real good information to get all of the answers that I needed to make the right decisions, all the way through it. It was a learning experience. I have moved around the United States to different states several times, so I do have experience doing some research before I move somewhere. But packing up and moving internationally is a completely different thing. You can't just load a U-Haul up with all your stuff and travel across straight lines to your new home. Essentially, you're getting rid of a lot of things. You're having to decide what to get rid of, and you're going to a whole new country with a different culture, with just different logistics. I mean, everything is different. You've got so much additional paperwork and rules, regulations, laws, all of these things that apply that are just so much different than just moving around your local area. So for me, I've already been in the Philippines a few times before I decided to move here. But my coming here, half that time was going out and doing touristy things, traveling around, seeing different locations. And other times it was staying at the home of the girlfriend or whatever that I was dating at the time. So I had some, experience of the touristy type thing. I had only a little bit of experience with the living here type experience. But I knew enough to know that this is the country I wanted. The reason that I chose the Philippines, I explained in some other videos, but out of all the times that I've been here, one of the places that I personally really enjoyed the most, and I just kind of figured that was where I was going to go, was over to La Union province. And this is on the central western coast of Luzon, right near a really nice beach, overlooking out over the South China Sea. It was a great area. It wasn't too far from a couple cities. So if you are like in San Juan area, San Fernando, you're not too far from Baguio City. You've got mountains over to your east. You've got the ocean on your west. It wasn't a bad area. For me, that was the place that I plan to go to. Nice, live by the beach and all that kind of stuff. But it was really difficult trying to find certain things, like what really are living conditions like, what does housing cost, the bills cost, things like that. When I started talking to Vina online, and we started having a closer relationship, she became one of my hard contacts. So I was really able to get accurate, up-to-date, real-world information about all that. She was able to go look at certain apartments on the weekends or when she wasn't busy at work. She was able to take pictures, videos. A lot of times we could do video chat while she's walking through these places. She's able to show me things. I can ask questions, she can get immediate responses. So I was able to get a good understanding of what certain types of living conditions were available within certain budget ranges. I was able to determine other expenses based on her own family's budget and kind of adjust that to what it might be like for myself. I just had a really good understanding of what to look forward to. So even though I did not do a scouting trip here, which is highly recommended, but at the time I needed to get here. I didn't have time to go through the whole scouting route. So I just pretty much moved here. But I had a good idea of what I was getting into. But I was doing a lot of that research. I was going to online forums, asking a lot of questions, what it's like going through the whole immigration process, different documents, paperwork that I would need, what it's going to be like trying to transfer my driver's license over. Just all those little different factors. I was going through doing this research and I mean, I originally started researching moving here about 2 years ago, but I wasn't completely serious about it then. But over time, as I got more serious, there was more detailed questions I started looking for. Um, but yeah, I eventually decided to move to where I'm at now because I got into the relationship with Vina, and it looked like it was an okay area. Originally, I was actually looking at being in the town next to where we're at, which is only about maybe a 5-minute drive, not too far. But I'd been looking at an apartment there. She'd found a couple different apartment listings. Looked like the budget was okay, the place was going to be okay. Pretty much when we got here, that's when I started looking for a few other options, and we found a very good listing. And when we came to look at it, we pretty much were like, yeah, it's a good place. So that's a lot closer to where her family lives. Her family is like 3 to 5 minute walk from here, very close by. And just the whole area in general here looked like it was going to be okay. It was going to be suitable. But doing the research, the forums were able to provide a good amount of information for the paperwork, the logistics aspect. Talking with Vina, having her communicate with her friends, her family members, I was able to get a lot of other information that I needed. I was really able to basically draw out a budget of what it could look like. And even on my limited budget, my limited income, I knew that I would be able to do okay. It's going to be challenging, difficult at times, but I can get through it. I can manage. I would be still better off than I was back in the U.S. The getting here part was a lot more difficult than I thought, but I mean, as far as just doing the research and doing everything I had to do to make the decision of, is going overseas going to be the best option, and would I be able to survive? So for example, in the U.S., I could have tried to move to a warmer environment like Arizona, New Mexico, something, but the cost was just so much higher than I could afford. I do have certain health conditions. Obviously, with my legs, I've got different problems, but so far, I mean, it's been 20 years that I've been seeing different VA doctors, orthopedic surgeons, podiatrists, all these different specialists and doctors. There's nothing that they've really been able to do to find out the solid cause of the problems, other than it just didn't heal properly. There were side effects, problems like bone spurs and things like that that have been occurring because of that. There's not a whole lot they can do for that. Mental health issues, it's just a matter of going through different medications, or the alternative is to put myself into a lifestyle or environment that I'm not having to deal with it as much. Obviously, the going out and spending tons of money like I used to do to get around the problems, that's not an option. But as far as, critical factors for me, it was mostly, I wanted to be close to the VA, not so much because I need to go in for treatments, but because I'm going through an appeal process, and I know that at any time I might have to go in to have new evaluations done. I knew I would like to be dealing with somebody from the VA regarding the paperwork, make it a lot easier. So for me, I knew living not too far from Metro Manila, where the VA hospital and embassy and all that's located, it would just make life a lot easier. Plus, Metro Manila, you've got all your malls, your restaurants, and all that kind of stuff. It's where she works. It would just be a little bit easier to live closer to here. My medications, I'm used to all my medicine being supplied for free through the VA. Don't get that here. I stocked up on about a 3-month supply of meds before I got here, because I figured the time I get here, 3-4 weeks, I'm going to be just focusing all my time on finding an apartment or place to live, getting moved in, settled in, make sure I've got a permanent address, Then I can go into the VA, start getting enrolled and transferred over to the facilities here, get assigned to a doctor and all that stuff. And then from that point, it's probably going to take a couple weeks to start getting a new fresh supply of medication. So it's like 2.5 months. So just in case, I brought a 3-month supply of medication. Unfortunately, the whole COVID thing hit. VA's closed down, can't even go get registered or anything like that. And now that it's been, over 7 months, some of my medications, they're gone. Other medications that I have, the only reason I still have some of it left is because I had to start really rationing it out. That means making sacrifices, going days where the pain's pretty bad, but I can't take the pills every day because I would just run out too fast. I would rather, have some relief, have a day where there's none, than have another day where there's relief, than spend, 2 months of every day having it and then spending 2 months with nothing. So I'm just having to ration it out until I can get down to the VA. Some of these medications I could probably go and purchase, but that's well outside of my income range right now. When I went to purchase my medicine for acid reflux, that was costing me, I don't know, paid like $120 something for a 3-month supply. So, $40 a month for that medication, something I'm not used to having to pay. And at $40 a month kind of hit me a bit. When I'm trying to deal with all these other bills, expenses, getting everything that we need here at the house, that chews through a lot of that money. So I knew I didn't have to worry about certain things. Physically, I could pretty much live wherever I needed to. So that's pretty much it as far as like what I had to do to figure it out. I knew I had to go to the immigration website. I did a lot of studying on all the different types of visas that were available, both non-immigrant and immigrant, figuring out like what are your options for eventually becoming a citizen or permanent resident. What if you want to go to school? What if you want to go to work? I did all that research as best I could, even though their government website was a little bit out of date at times. So I would hit up the forums or try to get a hold of other people here and get the answers that I needed. A lot of it though pretty much came down to, hey, things here can change almost every week. You're just going to have to wait till you get here to really figure out the hard details, because things could change up until then. I knew there was certain paperwork that I needed. All my military documents, medical records, a lot of that stuff was scanned into the computer and backed up onto a hard drive. The paperwork stayed in the US with all my boxes of stuff that I'm planning to ship over here when I can. But if there's a document that I do need, I have the digital copy. I can go and take that down to a print shop or something and have, copies printed up. But the whole research process for me didn't take as long as I would have liked to have had time to do certain research. There were just things that once I got here, I realized I really wish I had certain answers. Again, that's why I'm doing this video, so other people can get those answers. But hopefully that is going to be able to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what I went through.